fitting that I speak today because it's like my ode to Philly. So this is kind of the story of what brought me to Philly. So I grew up in a pretty religious Jewish home. Yemenite Israeli religious, which means the Yemenite Jews went back in Yemen years and years, and 2,000, 3,000 years with the culture never changing. Very traditional people. So I grew up in Southern California. I was told early on that dating a non-Jew, not so much okay with a family. You know, we were religious, we did the Sabbath, we did the kosher laws, we did the dietary stuff, and we had a really amazing circle of friends and a community that was really warm and lovely and beautiful, and I thought the best reputation of what religion could be. So I was kind of cool with not dating non-Jews anyways, because I figured I want to raise my kids this way. This is what I want. Might as well date someone I can marry. Fast forward a decade or so, I'm in my late 20s, I'm in Los Angeles, where I moved to meet Jewish guys. And of course I end up falling madly, deeply, very passionately and completely in love with a Muslim Pakistani. Because it's really the only thing you can do when you move to Los Angeles to meet a Jewish guy. And we had one of those amazing relationships where, you know, the words of every single love song ring true, and you know the person, and they know you, and you're more yourself with them, and it was wonderful and beautiful and special. Of course, we didn't tell our parents, because his parents were religious, they prayed 5 times a day, they wore the hijab. My parents were religious, prayed 3 times a day. It was a whole, you know, kind of Romeo and Juliet on crack sort of situation. But anyways, after about half a year, I decided I'm almost 30, I need to be mature about this. I'm an independent woman, I should tell my parents. And so I kind of prepared myself, psyched myself up, said this is the day, called my parents and said I'm coming over to talk. And it did not go well. As bad as I thought it might go, it kind of went worse. I once had this teacher in high school who told me that if I were ever to date or marry a non-Jew, it would more or less be the equivalent of an atomic bomb going off through the Southern California Jewish community. Which at the time I remember thinking, okay, that is definitely a hyperbole. And I was actually really excited because I just learned hyperbole for, my SAT words, and I was like, that is definitely a hyperbole. I don't believe that. Fast forward to, this time period, and not such a hyperbole. It was actually a pretty adequate explanation of what kind of proceeded for the next few months. I got calls from Israel, from multiple different locations around California, people trying to intervene. Interventions. I got called out for dinner, for lunch, for coffee, for everything imaginable, while people cried in front of me, and people who I've loved and respected all my life told me this was the worst mistake of my life, and the tragedy, the drama, the everything, which was hard. And my friends were amazingly supportive, but I also got a lot of really strong, aggressive feedback from my friends and my generation who felt equally strongly that religion should never matter, and love conquers all, and religion is unimportant, and how could that ever be something that would break apart a relationship? And so I was deeply, deeply torn. Didn't know what to do. Kind of was stuck, and didn't know what the right thing for me was. And I kind of recognized I can't do something just for my parents, can't do it for the community, can't do it for my friends. I should just do what is right for me. But I was so torn, and it kind of touched on all these topics of just what is most me. How much is the universe? How much is it that the universe hands you this gift, and you need to be able to change and grow and embrace a new situation that makes you turn in a different direction that you never thought you would go? And how much of it is lying and pretending to be somebody else because you love someone and you want to be somebody else so that you can experience this majestic sort of love? And I didn't know what the answer to that question was, and I didn't know what I should do, and I probably stayed in this mental place for about a year, unable to move and unable to figure it out, until I finally decided to move to Philadelphia. Because I didn't mention, yay, that he had moved at some point during this time period to Philadelphia to do his fellowship, and so we were also doing long distance, which didn't help with the drama of the interventions that were being staged almost daily. So I came here, and it was great, because the white noise just sort of stopped, and the family and the community and everything fell by the wayside, and this was our time to live together and be together and see what kind of home we could create, and if this was right for me or not. And in the end, after really being together and really embracing this life and kind of immersing myself in this almost 3-year relationship, I finally realized that it wasn't right for me, and it wasn't something that I could sustain for the rest of my life. And so we broke up, and I moved out, and I had just left my family and my friends and my job and all sorts of this wonderful life where I lived in Santa Monica, 5 blocks from the ocean. But I felt a certain grace, and Philadelphia just sort of embraced me, and I got tremendously lucky with a great job here and great friends here, and just a really nice clarity. So for me, Philadelphia has been just a really nice place to figure out what is the right thing for me, away from all the many, many, many voices that were in my life. And that was how I figured out what was right for me. So I started having